again, everybody. Welcome to the Breakdown with Dave Starman. That is me. And today we're going to tackle a topic that we have discussed a little bit in the past. We're going to expand on it and get into some different areas with it, use some different video, and kind of show it from a little bit of a different angle. And it's one of my favorite subjects. It's back checking, it's defending against the rush, and it's playing in your own zone. These are three obviously very important keys to keeping pucks out of your own net. But on the other hand, when you talk to a lot of coaches, especially at the higher levels, one of the things that they talk about is getting the puck back quickly so that you can get on offense and playing the game more going downhill, going north, as opposed to having to defend. And I think that a lot of you coaches, especially at the higher levels, let's say 18U, junior, real good high school, real good prep, realize how hard it is to play in your own zone against really good teams. So as we've gone through the years, there's been so much more done in terms of teaching teams how to defend, whether it's in their own zone, whether it's against the rush, on the back check side. Different players are in different formations. We've talked about hockey by the numbers versus hockey by the letters. So you can have defensemen that may be pinching down low in the offensive zone or dive downs, and maybe they get beat, and all of a sudden you're going the other way defending, and you've got two forwards that are defending the rush. So it'll be important to learn the responsibilities of the players as opposed to just what positions that they play. So when you're considering your transition to defense, there's a couple things you got to think about. Now, at the older levels, surfing, forward gapping, angle gapping, that's become a much bigger thing. And you're seeing a lot of NHL teams, a lot of NCAA teams, a lot of major junior teams and junior A teams in the U.S. are starting to use the surfing component. I actually shouldn't say starting. They've been using it for a while now. Now, it's funny because I have a son that's in 05, so he's 17 now. And I started with his core of defensemen back when he was probably 12U. And the one thing I wanted to do was to get those kids at a young age adjusted to the forward gapping, the angle gapping, the surfing component, early engagement in the offensive zone. And it's interesting because I work with another assistant coach. I won't name him, but he and I were assistants together under a different head coach. And he was running the defense during games, but I was working with the defense mostly in practice, doing the development component. And we were really at loggerheads over this issue. Now, my son left that program, and the 05s that continued along the lines of surfing and gapping up and this kind of thing have really taken their game to another level. I see a major difference in terms of how they have been coached and taking adherence to this philosophy. So we're going to go through that on the video. We'll talk about the point of commitment. When I was a young coach and a young person back in the early 90s, Tom Watt did a great presentation on this topic at Roger Nielsen's coaching clinic at the University of Windsor, which used to be the gold standard until the coaches site came along and took over that reign as the great coaching platform that it is. But when we used to go to Rogers, and there'd be a lot of different presentations, and Tom did a presentation on back checking, and he talked about the point of commitment. What is the point of commitment for the third player back in terms of attacking the puck carrier or looking over their shoulders and looking for trailers? We're going to go into that when we take a look at the video. And then the other part of it is retrievals behind the defense, deposits behind the defense. Now, in the old days, the defenseman, if you dump the puck behind them, could put their stick out and railroad car you or what's the word I'm looking for? The corkscrew you and not let you through. Can't do that anymore. So most defensemen now are turning on their retrievals, shoulder checking, and going to get pucks. But there was a time where if it was a 2-on-2 and the offensive team dumped the puck in, that forward that was coming back hard on your team might be the one to go get the puck as the defenseman held up. Now, there are some forwards that get back pretty quick, and every once in a while I see a forward just call off the day and say, I got it. You've got to talk to your team about that and figure out what your team dynamic is before you decide how you want to play it. But these are some of the factors that may go into your preseason and early season meetings in terms of how you want to defend against the rush and how you want to back check. Now, at one of these Roger Nielsen clinics, Craig Ramsey, who is, I believe, then with the Buffalo Sabres, did a great presentation on back checking, and I took out of it what I call the Ramsey rules. Now, when I did my level 5 for USA Hockey, the master's level coaching certification, mine was transition from offense to defense, and I was so influenced by Craig Ramsey and how he taught it, it became a major staple of how I teach it and still do, because it is one of those philosophies that really has grown with the game and has not really changed much over time. It's changed in terms of who may be playing the roles, but the roles are very similar. And you can see that I've got it here on the screen. Players 1 and 2, as they're coming back, obviously they're going to be the ones defending the rush. And we talked about whether or not they're going to gap up early and surf or whether or not they're going to front the rush sticks out. That third player coming back, now that could be a forward or a defenseman, because remember, defensemen much more active in the offensive zone than they were, let's say 25 years ago. that could be a defenseman coming back, but that defenseman would be playing what used to be the F1 role coming back in the back check. So they're going to be the ones making that decision at the red line. Are they going to attack the puck carrier, or are they going to look for trailers? What's their point of commitment? So their role changes. What hasn't is players number 4 and 5 coming back. Player number 4 coming back will always pick up the weak side, the slot, and the hot spots in and around the hash marks. And player number 5 coming back is the one that's going to activate on the strong side and get themselves into the circle on that strong side. And we're going to talk a little bit about wing play in that area. So some buzzwords that I want you to remember, and I've used these before in these presentations. I've used them with a lot of my teams. There are a couple of different ones. One is close, kill, and collect. That comes to me courtesy of Dave Shayak at St. Cloud State University, where he is the associate head coach. I will go through that concept in a moment. And the one that I've always used when I've taught this is deflect, delay, and destroy. So we will go through both of those concepts and what they mean and what each of those words mean. And as we take a look at this video, and it will feature St. Cloud State University. Brett Larson's their head coach, does a wonderful job. They are in black. Now let's start right here. As the play is coming up the ice, you see the defenseman is inside the dot line. I believe that's Spencer Meyer, who's now their captain, 9 in black. Real good defenseman. So you see he's inside the dot lane. He's got a good angle. He's preventing the University of Minnesota Duluth player in white from cutting in towards the middle. And you can see his partner just about to cross the red line has got the trailer tied up, and his partner defensively under the Amsoil sign here, he is forward towards the net just in case there's a dump in, but he's got his man behind him. So we'll play it out, and you can see how this works out. Meyer does a great job deflecting. By deflecting, they delay the attack right here, and by delaying it with the cavalry coming back, they're able to destroy the rush, and nothing really happens on some good speed coming out of their own zone by Minnesota Duluth. Same kind of deal here. This defense, that's a defenseman. Early engagement, can make his move on the winger. Now you got a 2-on-2, no problem. You got support coming back. Kill the rush nice and quick. Playing along the dot line, keeping players to the outside. Good pressure on the middle with 2 players. Locked up here in the back. Ability to close up quick. And once again, another rush that goes astray. Close, kill, and collect. Once again, St. Cloud's still in the black here. Look how quickly this defenseman can jump up with the support of the players that are coming through the neutral zone, taking away the middle lane. And once again, the defenseman that makes the original play is able to turn the puck back the other way. Here comes UMD once again. Quick close here on the side. This is a defenseman right here. That's Meyer again. He'll come in, pick up his man. Good stick. That attack quickly dies as St. Cloud forces Minnesota Duluth wide with good numbers. So you see a couple of the concepts here. Deflect, delay, destroy, close, kill, and collect. They're very similar. They're buzzwords that you want your players to learn and say and understand, so you don't necessarily have to go through a lot of terminology. You can just use your buzzwords, and they will get you where you want to go. And here they are. I'm not going to read you this slide, but I put this in here in case you want to take a picture of it or print it up from your computer at home as you're watching, or if you go back and read it through. To me, this really explains it very well. And when it comes to that close, kill, collect, it's no space, playing real fast, getting players in a safe ice. And the one thing that Coach Shayak said to me, if you can get this all done within 7 to 10 seconds to get going on offense, your team, it's got a lot more juice and a lot more wind as they're getting up ice so they can play in the offensive zone. The Western Michigan Broncos were coached by Andy Murray for a long time. He's a International Ice Hockey Federation Hall of Fame coach, won a couple of gold medals with Team Canada, did a terrific job in terms of making Western Michigan a real good defensive team. Pat Ferschweiler is their new head coach. This will be his second season, and he has really picked up where Coach Murray left off. The Broncos might be as hard a team to score on and as tenacious a back-checking team as there is in college hockey, and it all stems from this very similar philosophy to what we just talked about. So we'll get a chance to see Western Michigan in action here doing their thing. They are in black here. This is against North Dakota. Here comes the rush up ice. Outside the dot lane is where the attack's coming from. Sticks down through the middle. Good hard skate. Numbers are coming back. This player right here is going to have an inside track to even up that 2-on-1. Is able to break up the play nice and quick, but all is predicated on the support coming back. Western once again in the black. Here comes North Dakota in the white. This time the weak side defenseman will surf up. Why? Because he knows with the pressure coming on the wall, he's probably going to have to go retrieve. So they switch roles. Third player's got the back checker all picked up. Real good read by the weak side defenseman. Here comes that fourth player we talked about getting into the high slot to take that away. Here comes the fifth player to put some pressure on the puck. A little bit of a flyby, but was able to influence, and you see the back check in action. Here we go. This player now, once again, weak side, is going to turn and surf. Now, this time it's interesting because Western blows the coverage. The defenseman on the wall kind of blew a shoe. So the player that's in the middle here with the arrow, that player now becomes the second defenseman. So that player's got to get himself to the front of the net, and he is actually closest to distance between 2 points. Fastest way to get there is a straight line. Well, he's going to have a straight line. He's going to go right to the front of the net, be able to break up this play and make it a 2-on-2, and then wait for the cavalry to come back. A real nice recovery after the defenseman falls. Same deal. Early identification. Now the trailer here can actually harass the puck carrier for a while instead of handing them off, and they force North Dakota in white to go offsides. That was last year during the NCHC championship tournament. That Western Michigan wound up winning that game. So you can see a little bit of the concept in action. It involves real hard skating. It involves good sort outs. It involves a lot of practice. Coaches, I'm going to tell you, when you practice back checking, practice it under live fire. It's one thing to have your players, all 5 of them in the offensive zone. You blow the whistle and tell everybody to track back. That's understandable when you want to get their routes determined, but back checking against live fire, to me, you get better spatial awareness, you get more chaos, players have to sort out faster, you get more communication. To me, sorting out on the back check is probably something you should do every practice, if not for a long time, maybe do it for 5-10 minutes every practice. It can almost become a warm-up drill for you at one point, but I do think this is something you really need to do. So some of those keys that we talked about, obviously getting in between the dots, defending in the dots, taking away the middle lane of the ice, that is a huge component to delaying attacks, to deflecting attacks, to being able to close up and break up attacks. The back check through the middle is non-negotiable. You got to make sure your players do it. You got to make sure they do it with one stick on the ice as they're coming back hard, and make sure that they identify their checks. And obviously that head on swivel component, that will never go away. Now, very recently, this past summer, I had the pleasure of presenting right after Andre Tourigny, who's now the head coach of the Coyotes. So for the second time in my coach's site live career, Andre Tourigny went right before me. He's a wonderful speaker. He's a hell of a coach. And right now he's coaching the Coyotes. Back the first time I met him, he was coaching in Ottawa in the OHL. And he did a great presentation on the involvement of the wings and defending low in the offensive zone. Now, last year, I did a breakdown segment of how the defensemen can really materialize some opportunity because they're playing mostly 2-on-0 above the circles with so many teams playing low. So we're going to take a look on both sides of this because one leads into the other. But I think that this little clip of Coach Tourigny that he used this summer at the Coach's Site Symposium in Ann Arbor is terrific. So have a listen, and then we'll discuss.
Here, just an example. I soon, as a body contact, look the reaction of the 4 guys. Right away, we make it small. We play 5-on-3. You see 5 white here defending against 3 blue. It's really tight. No time, no space. Get the puck, get out of there. Here will be the same thing. There's a battle. Right away, we want to see 5 guys in tight. We even want this guy a little bit tighter. Here, we're 5-on-3. There's no way you recover the puck from that. It's 5-on-3. And so we create a battle. We outnumber them. We don't want to defend anymore. We want to go in offense. Good defense lead to good offense. If you play well defense, you will recover. Same thing for your winger. As soon there's a battle, you see Duchesne here sprinting, coming back in the slot. We want to be tight. As soon we have a battle, we want to be 5.
And I think that really explains it extremely well. And now on the other side of it, we're going to take a look at, remember he said 5-on-3 or defending 5-on-3, there's no way you should lose a battle, no way you should lose a puck. Okay, so the next set of clips, the team in white's the University of Denver. They wound up winning the national championship last year in NCAA hockey. Now, the presentation that I did on 2-on-0 above the circles plays into what Coach Tourigny said. If you're going to play 3-on-5 down low, you better be really committed. But your wingers have a very important job, and that is if they're going to be up high a little bit or in an area where they're not directly on the puck, they'd better make sure that they got their heads on a swivel and know where the defensemen are. They better make sure that they are reading passing lanes. So in case there is a turnover and the offensive team comes up with the puck, they're in a position to defend. Now, Ken Danico, who became a friend of mine through the NHL Network, he's a 3-time Stanley Cup winner. And one of the things that he told me early on in his career is that Larry Robinson, who was the assistant coach at the time in New Jersey, said to him, whenever you're away from the puck but defending, make sure your stick's on the ice and make sure the nose of your stick is facing the puck. He said it extended his career probably 5 years. It's amazing how many passes he picked off. That's something that the wingers have to keep in mind. They've got to know where the puck is. They've got to know where their check is above them because they are responsible up high, and they don't want to keep getting beat or backdoored. So stick positioning and passing lane anticipation is a big part of this. So let's take a look at the Denver scenario here, and I'll show you what I mean by some of these players that are getting open up high. So there's a 3-on-5 down low. Puck comes up to the top. It's a 2-on-0 up top, and there's the goal. So wingers need to be a little bit more aware and defend a little bit harder in this situation to make sure that they've got down low covered and up high covered. All the wingers down low, mesmerized by the puck. Everybody mesmerized by the puck. Denver gets an opportunity for a scoring chance. Here we go again. Cups up high. Now this time the forward makes a great recovery and just a poor defensive play. And still Denver wins a 3-on-5 battle down low, and they're able to get a scoring chance from up high. The winger made a nice play there towards the end. So remember when you're teaching this, it's not always going to work just because you're playing 5-on-3 down low. You've got to make sure that whoever the two players are that are in the circles playing the 4 and 5 roles in your hockey by the numbers, they are very aware of where the defensemen are. They are very aware of where the hot spots are. Their stick positioning has to be good. Good sticks are vital, and they've got to make sure that they can anticipate being in some passing lanes so that if there is an offensive possession by the offensive team, they know where they need to get to. So once again, we have come to the conclusion of the breakdown. This is season 2 and episode 2. We're going to go through a lot of different topics this year. I hope you enjoyed this one and got something out of it. Thank you as always, and we will talk to you once again in October.